What made you decide to become a host family?
That decision was easy for us. We love to travel, we enjoy other cultures, and I have a love for children, um, so that drove had cut.
Go. What made you decide to become a host family?
That decision was easy for me. We love to travel, we enjoy experiencing other cultures, and I have a genuine love for all children. So having that ability to have those things in your home is like a gift I got to give my own biological children. I felt like it was something that's unique and precious.
Go. What is the most important thing that each kid that you host leaves you?
I think for me, one of the most important things is I ask each of my students to come to me with one of their favorite recipes and some pictures from home, something that they can share with us as a family. And one of the things we enjoy together is tasting their food and also making the connections with not only the student but their families, and showing my boys that, we live a certain lifestyle here in Nova Scotia and we have certain traditions and ways, but how they can be so different somewhere else. And so I think back to your question, the most important thing for them to leave with me is just to be the most authentic self they can be. To be their most authentic self.
Oh. Could you describe the way you feel about meeting a new exchange student?
For me, the days prior to having a new exchange student come in my home for my host son is like Christmas for me. It is researching where they're from, it's learning about them, it's getting my family ready for their arrival. And then the other piece to that is the people in which they bring to me once they are here. The different cultures, the different friends. It's the continuous learning. I face it all with excitement.
What is that you like the most about hosting?
The connections that you make with people all across the world. I genuinely feel that the children that I've hosted have become an extension of my own family. So basically, our family grew to be beyond these four walls. We have now children in Italy, Belgium, France, Colombia, all over the world.
Your core memory with your exchange student?
I would say it is not specific to my two boys now, my two exchange students now, but in general, it's the ability to show them our small town, to show them our Canadian way and our maritime blue nose hostess skills, I guess you can call them, and also the ability to travel around and show them places that some Nova Scotians don't get to see themselves.
Go. Knowing that you also have two biological sons, how do you think hosting influences the way they are?
I feel like the influence on each of them sort of is unique. For Sawyer, when I first started hosting, he was having a very difficult chapter through his adolescent years. And it became a person that he got to share and feel comfortable with, and have a person to go to school with that was also maybe not like the other kids, or felt like he didn't necessarily belong or fit in the same norms of our society. And so from here on out, it made him kind to all people, regardless of how they look or their cultural backgrounds. It opened his eyes to how large the world really is and how small of a place our hometown actually is. And for Landon, it's simple. He wants to travel to every corner of the world, to every home of every exchange student, and he wants to eat all of the recipes that they make. And he is now a culinary chef from all around the world because he cooks with all of them and makes sure that he gets like the last of the leftovers if there's any here. So for him, it's the taste of the culture, the travel, and learning in-depth things about each exchange student's home.
One go. If you could say anything to the future exchange student, what would it be?
To come with an open mind and an open heart, and to be prepared for the roller coaster that comes with your exchange program. So there are going to be extreme highs, extreme lows, and extreme memories. So in the beginning, sometimes it's very difficult, but know that if you stick with it, it will be the experience of a lifetime.
So, why did you choose to be a homestay coordinator?
I had a close friend that was working within the program that suggested it to me, and I thought it'd be really interesting to get to know different students from different countries and their culture.
Go. How did you find out about this job?
Through one of my friends, Katrina Stewart Reynolds, who does this position in the Barrington area.
Go. Would you describe your role in the program?
So I am a homestay coordinator, so I help choose families and recruit families for the students that come from other countries and make sure that they're the proper fit, as well as plan programs for the students while they're here, deal with any conflicts that may come up along the way, and I fucked up.
Would you describe your role in the program?
So I am a homestay coordinator, and I find suitable homes for placement for the students before they come, as well as recruit new families, plan social activities for the students while they're here, and deal with any conflicts that arise while they're here, as well as help families navigate their new students and culture shock and all that comes with coming to Nova Scotia.
How does it feel to be working every year and semester with different kids?
So I really enjoy getting to know the students and finding out their personalities and learning their cultures every semester. But it's really hard when they go back home because you've built relationships, and saying goodbye as a homestay coordinator is just as hard as a host parent. You miss the relationships in the youth when they leave, and so I stay in contact with most of my students, but I find it very hard and exciting because it's great to learn about new students every semester, but it's hard to say goodbye to.
What is the most difficult part in your job?
So I think the most difficult part in my job is when we have conflicts with students within their homes or within the program, and we have to adhere to certain rules that may be difficult for those students to understand when they first come to a new country and are going through culture shock, and have to then reprimand them for speaking their native tongue or wanting to be around people from their own country, which I would do if I was there. So I find some of the policies within the program are hard for me to wrap my head around when I wouldn't do it that way if I was in a different country. I also find when students don't work out and we have to move them, it's very difficult for the students and the families because one is either attached or the other one isn't, and it's difficult to see families struggle to lose students as well as students struggling to find a family where they fit. And not being able to find the perfect fit for some students is really hard on the heart, and that's where I struggle the most.
How do you decide that a host family is a good match for a student?
So as a homestay coordinator, we have access to the database, and we review over 172 profiles to narrow them down to what fits the families that we have available and try to link them with similar interests, likes, as well as what works for some families. Some families prefer more homebodies. Some prefer students that are very academically driven and focused and love sports and like to get out of the house. Other families prefer to have students that share the same interests as their kids. So we make sure that they're the right fit, although sometimes those profiles are not exactly the same once the student gets to Nova Scotia. So sometimes what we think is the perfect match isn't always the perfect match, but sometimes it works out for the best because those shared interests sometimes are not actually the shared interests, and that student develops a like for something new and exciting, and the host family finds a new hobby for themselves from the student. So sometimes the most unmatched families are sometimes the best match at the end of the day.
What is the relationship that is established between the students and their homestay coordinator?
So for me, I think it's really important to build a relationship where I advocate for their needs and what they want. So I think building respect and trust within my relationship is the most important. I don't want to be the bad guy while they're here. I want to be able to get to know them, learn about what they like, and also build that relationship so that they trust and respect me. So if issues do arise, it's easier to sit down and have a conversation about what they're struggling with or what their host family is struggling with, because I believe if we come in and we are a drill sergeant, that we are not a productive homestay coordinator and we don't give them the proper assistance that they need while they're here. So it's very important for me to have a trusting, caring relationship with my students.
If you could say anything to the future exchange students, what would it be?
I would tell them to come to Nova Scotia and embrace every experience that they get to, not to be afraid to speak up for what they might be struggling with, and to come here and give Nova Scotia a chance. I know it's rural and it's in our area very small, but I'm guaranteed they'll go back to their country and miss all the little things of rural Nova Scotia.